Up, y'all? Happy Sunday. All right. Happy Sunday, y'all. Thanks for joining us today on this lovely live. Hey, hey. Let me see if I can get you in. Mo, can you send me a request, please? Okay, let's see. Oh, there's Ani. All right, let me send you a request too. All right, just sent you guys a request. What's up, the All Over Podcast? What we got happening on here today?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, beautiful people.
Reunited and it feels so
It
good.
feels
Okay.
amazing.
How are y'all doing today?
I'm good.
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
I'm sleepy. Had a long night. I was out, you know. I'm a grandma, so hanging out late, I be like, what's going on? But I'm good otherwise. Thank you guys for joining
Okay.
me today.
Yes.
Of course.
All right, all right. So, what's up, y'all? Thanks everybody for tuning in now. If you are tapping in with us on a replay, we appreciate it either way. Thanks for watching us. This conversation today is going to be in like celebration of Pride Month, but also to motivate someone to just not give up and to just always be your true authentic self and just walk in your power. And what better individuals to do that conversation and hold space with other than the lovely Awny K and my girl Mo.
Hey,
Yes.
y'all.
So I'm going to give yes, I'm going to give each of them the opportunity to just give a general introduction of who they are and whatever else they want to, let you guys know. So either one of you guys can go first.
You can go, Mom.
Um, oh, um,
Rock, paper,
so
scissors.
I am Mo. I am the founder of Solidarity and Co., an advocate, poet, entrepreneur, scholar, dreamer, all of the things. I am super honored to be here today. And Chiquita, thank you for inviting me. I love hanging out with you all, and I just love your energy in general. And so, yeah, happy to be here. Love to share. And next, you'll meet my boy, Ani.
Yes.
Hey.
So I'm Ani. I am the host of All In with Ani podcast. I'm from South Carolina. I'm an author, a life coach, all that good stuff. So if you need a session, hit me up. And I too am honored and grateful to be on this panel with these great women.
Yes. And as they said, well, I don't know if they said it, but I'll say it. We have definitely linked before. Ani has been a part of Chronicles of a Virgo podcast numerous times. Mo has also been on. We had a lovely conversation. That's where a lot of this dialogue with LGBT rights and all of those wonderful things started last year. So I thought, like, we talked about continuing this conversation, spreading more awareness, and never really got the opportunity besides us discussing it. So there's a lot of nuance and things going on, despite the nuance and stuff that's, trending in the news and on social media. I felt like there needs to be more words of encouragement and things put out there. These two do a lovely job of holding people accountable on social media in their spaces appropriately, but also standing in their power and showing support to others that need it. So again, I thank y'all for coming on and holding this conversation with me. Like, it means a lot.
Yes.
Okay. So to start it off, let's go backwards. Ani, can you give your definition of what it means to be your true self?
I feel like what it means to be your true self is to learn what works for you and work that lane. I think when we, growing up, we try to find ourselves through others, and we kind of take the characteristics of our mother, or we walk like our father, or we smile like our grandmother, or we have webbed feet like our great grandmother. But we try to find ourselves in other people. And I feel like when you are being your true authentic self, you are finding you outside of other people and working that lane.
Absolutely. How about you, Mo?
Yeah, I think everything Ani said, and for me to just expand on that, I think finding your truest self is about finding your voice and not allowing other people to speak for you or on your behalf. Kind of finding a way to be true to who you are through finding a way to be true to who you or your thoughts, what you think, your vision, your values, your morals, right? All of those things are super important, especially for queer people, because so much of society tells us to do otherwise. And when we forge like a strong foundation of our own morals and beliefs around Christianity or around our spirituality or our sexuality, it really helps us to continue to be true to who we are. And so not only does that take you like finding yourself, right, which is a part of that journey, but it's also believing what you know to be true and standing firm on that.
Mm. Yes, I love both of you guys' explanation of it, and just the whole moral compass of, especially when you're a person that is in the queer LGBT community. I feel like it's a struggle to find yourself, or at least find your voice, because you have a lot of people telling you, like, you're not that, you're not supposed to do that, that's not of righteousness, like, you're going to go to hell, and they condemn you for what you in your heart believe is your true self. But I feel like, because I've dealt with this, it's conflicting, because in my mind and my heart, like, I know that this is what I am, I know that this is my preference, my choice, but at the same time I have all these people telling me that this is just make believe, like, this is not it. And I feel like now more than a lot of people that struggle to deal with that inner voice and cut off, like, all the outside chatter. So in a world
Yeah.
like what we're living in now, right? How would you, like, tell somebody, or like help direct somebody that's trying to, like, live to be their true self, that's in the community?
I'll take that. And for me, I would just say what was most important for me was finding allies, whether they be online or in the community, and reading these things for yourself, right? Sometimes we are taught to buy it, read it ourselves, and from it is really what matters. And I think also through that path, right? It's like research. Um, for me, like going online and Googling things, even when I was just like in my curious stage, was super helpful, because like you were saying, Shakira, like I already had these conflicting ideas in my mind, and I needed people to affirm the thing that I felt was most true. And so I was able to do it through research. Um, and a lot of people who were my allies or my constituents, my friends, they weren't necessarily like able to provide me the logical responses that I needed online. So it's like one thing to be like, oh, people say you're going to hell, but that's not true, right? But it's another
Right.
thing to read it for yourself and believe it for yourself. And ideally, I would refer them to John 3:16, which states, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, continue on, etc. Right? But whosoever was really defining for me that it didn't specify any specific type of person, it didn't specify the righteous or the sinners. whoever believed in him. And that's where I found my validation. And so, that's a commonly quoted scripture. And so for me to have someone who were like looking for direction initially, that's where I would send them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what came to mind when you said that is about like doing your own research because like a lot of people respectfully lack the common sense to do their own research and they depend on, of course, like blogs and other forms to get. However, back those things don't do their research, or if they do, they are given their own interpretation of what something stands for. And I feel like that's where a lot of the disconnect is. We come into the whole Christianity and like dissecting the Bible. Like we all can read the same scripture or interpret it differently. It doesn't mean that your interpretation is any different than what my interpretation of it is. And I'm not going to try to put my interpretation or beliefs on y'all because y'all think something different. Just like we all have
Yeah.
our own personal relationship with God, whatever higher power you serve, that's your preference. You know what I'm saying? And I think that
Yeah.
is a big issue now with people of the community trying to express like their desires for more people to like, hey, understand us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to trying to shun us away and pushing us in a corner because you don't really know what you're talking about for one. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Period.
Sorry, I
But
just
yeah.
had to say that. I'm sorry. Ani, what are your thoughts?
Like Mo said, it's good to house yourself around people that are knowledgeable and that can really affirm, like she said, her truest self. Because when we're around those people who really say, I don't really agree with it, but I love you, no. I want to house myself around people that says, you know what, friend, that's you, and we're going to accept you in your totality, and that's it. We're going to research. We're going to go in the Bible. We're going to find things. Just like she pulled out that scripture. You need to have friends that are knowledgeable and say, hey, this is what the word says. This is what the word says. I know what they say that it means, but this is exactly what it means because we study. Because the Bible also says study to show thyself approved. That's just
Okay.
not trying to read the Bible to preach it. It's trying to read it with understanding and knowledge of the culture that it was written in. So it's good to house yourself around people that really are knowledgeable about who you are and where you are in your authentic self.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know last year in our initial conversation, like we talked a lot about the whole um, the stages that each of us had went through, whether we came out or someone was outed, however it happened, and like where we were at the point now in life of just trying to live our authentic selves with no explanation, whatever. Do you guys feel like that you have an adequate support system that accepts each of you for who you are, no matter what? If they don't understand, like Ani said, they'll go to the extreme measures to understand because I love you, I care. Or do you feel like there's still like a disconnect with the support that you receive?
Anna,
I
go
think
ahead.
I think my support system has has strengthened tremendously. I just relocated to Atlanta, Georgia, and
Hey, okay.
yes, I'm so excited. I love it here.
Okay.
And
Okay,
I
Okay, we
joined.
good.
definitely got to make a
Yes,
trip.
come make a trip. But I joined this church, and everyone, when I walked through the door, everyone just greeted me with so much love. And the pastor and I had a conversation, and he told me, he said, you can come in your heels, your earrings, your blouses, be you, do you. And then I was so shocked at a message I
Yeah.
received from him. He said, hey, I want to always be respectful of who you are. What are your
Yes.
pronouns? So I won't be disrespectful.
Yes.
And I've never had that. I've never had anyone ask me that. I've never had a ministry care about me in that light. So I feel like my support system has strengthened tremendously from what I came from, because I came from a traumatic situation. I came from a church that really didn't believe in it, and they were just tolerating me because I had gifts and abilities and I could serve the way and I knew how to do church. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in a position where I don't really have to give all of me and not get something in return. And I
Yeah.
think that's the greatest thing when you have a support system, because sometimes we are in situations where we are giving all of ourselves and not getting anything in return. So
Yeah.
I think my support system has strengthened tremendously.
Yeah.
Yes, I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
congratulations
Thank
on your
you.
move.
Thank you.
I love that for you, Awny. Okay.
Yes.
And I pray for that for you, Awny.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, you deserve it.
okay, period. And so for me, like, it is that, right? There was a time where I felt like I lacked that support system. But at this stage in my life, the amount of support that I get for just being myself, right? Like following my heart, my passions, and staying true to those things, like, it's just crazy, y'all. And I mean, you guys will see things will continue to unfold. Everything isn't to be revealed in the moment, you know.
Mhm.
But it's like I've sown the seed, right? I'm gonna take y'all to church. I've sown the
Okay.
seed, and now I'm starting to see the bloom.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just crazy because this is who I've always been, but for so long I was afraid to show up as my most authentic self. And so I'm glad that we're having this conversation today because my life right now is proving to me, like, when you do that, like, the God, the higher power will continue to provide. And so there is a season of abundance over like the support that I've been receiving, but also like the reaping of the seeds that I've been sowing, you know? And so
Mm-hmm.
support is paramount to me. And I always let y'all know, like, if there's any way that I can support y'all, please let me know. Because I know how important support is. And sometimes I don't feel that. And I'm just going to be real. Like, sometimes you don't feel it. Sometimes you will feel alone, even if it's a million people around
Mm-hmm.
you. But I think what I've learned is to harness these positive relationships, those allies that I was telling you about, and like reach out to them instead of sitting in my isolation, right? I'll have a conversation with someone, and I think I tagged you recently in a post where it was like, anybody that has filled your cup up this week, hit them up. And Shakita, I couldn't help but tag you, sis. You were a part of that. And I want to say shout out to just Black women in general, because my post was filled with tags of just Black women who were just like, Mo, we see you and we're here for you. And that support comes, as you were saying, Ani, like, regardless of my talents, regardless of, you know, me having to do anything other than just be myself. So that's my favorite kind of support.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And shout out to all y'all that is trickling in here and watching us on this lovely Sunday and engaging on this wonderful conversation. Don't be shy, y'all. If you want to drop something in a chitty chat, go ahead and by
Yeah,
all
hey,
means
Chef.
do so. But it's funny because after we first linked up last year on the podcast and talk, like I don't normally listen back. I just have a whole thing with my voice. I don't be like, but I listened back and I was like, there's always a message when you listen over and over again in something. And one thing that I always wanted to do was be around people that are their authentic selves. Like, no offense, like I will never give you a representative, meaning the person you see amongst yourselves is the person you're going to get. However, I do have stages of, because life be life and for us all. One thing that I can say is these individuals I'm talking to today, from the time I've met them to now, like we can go weeks and maybe months without interacting, but they are always 10 toes down if I need them on a post or just like it. I can't, like, words don't even describe it,
Yep.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they can, honestly, y'all have contributed to me growing into myself within this last year. Cause y'all know it's been a ride.
Yeah.
Just with just really trying to, when you trying to define like who you are and trying to like cut out the parts of what people said you are or who you should be, it is so refreshing to finally find, and I'm not discrediting my friends or like my family, of course, but outside of that, it's so refreshing to find people that genuinely love and care about you, accept you where you are, and be like, no, sis, we gotta keep going. Because if anybody is that,
Yeah.
Ani and Mo is that, you know, like,
Yeah.
so I love y'all.
Oh,
I love that. I love
oh,
y'all.
we love
We
you
love you too.
too.
I feel like I can speak for you there, Ani. We love you too.
Yeah.
Okay, period.
Yeah, and I've never seen like people so like outspoken and have a stronghold about their beliefs, especially when it comes to the LGBT and like all of this stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like y'all, since day one, like y'all have just been out there, like not just out there on social media, like y'all are full effect active in y'all communities, which we're gonna get into all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're gonna get into that because my next question is, do you guys think that um, representation matters when trying to create like an inclusive culture or society or network? And
Yeah.
when I mean inclusive, I don't mean just like, oh, black women, black men. I mean like, okay, we have all of that, but like being more inclusive when it comes to people of the LGBT plus community.
Yeah. Um, I'll speak first on that, Ani, if that's okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So for me, yeah, I mean, it is important for me through my platform, Psycho, to bring in people from all walks of life, especially people who don't look like me, who don't think like me, or worship like me, or eat the same foods that I eat. I'm currently a part of a global affairs fellowship because I have a desire to learn about other cultures and other ways of life, mostly because I believe that they can provide solutions for the communities which I am in. So by limiting ourselves to like only seeing the world one way is what contributes to people feeling like they cannot be their authentic selves. And so I never want to be a part of anything that perpetuates that. So if that's your goal or what have you, don't hit me up. If your goal is to create a safe space like Shakita is doing for people who, have different backgrounds to share space together, then I'm your girl. And I don't limit it to just people within the Black community because I believe that everybody is going through something. And I believe in, I would say see myself as like a humanist, right? And I just believe and advocate for people having a human experience where, just like you were saying, like every day isn't a good day. You meet people with grace, but you embrace these other ways of thinking and living, and it provides like creative solutions that we have in our community. Some of these other communities have it figured out, right? And then they figure it out and they come and like make bags off of our community. So
Mm-hmm.
what can we take and what can we learn from them instead of, shunning them? And so, yeah, that's my thing is learning from other people, welcoming other people, and creating spaces where people who don't look like me or think like me or what have you, who are different, to have a space to be their authentic selves as well.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
I think society kind of, I don't know if they intentionally do it, but society tried to create this utopia in the world. It's either this, it's like a black and white type thing, like, oh, this is how it's been, this is how it's always going to be. And they never really realize that the world is constantly evolving and changing. So I always want to be that. And if you call me rebellious, I'll take it proudly. But I'm always going to be the one to say no, because you can't say to me that I'm wrong for my preference when that's like telling a child, I can only give you vanilla ice cream. And they saying, I don't like vanilla ice cream. I like chocolate. Well, no, it's right to eat vanilla ice cream. You can't tell someone that because what's right for you may be wrong for someone else. So we need to
Yeah.
just take that utopia mindset out of our mind and really grasp that life is about evolving and changing and progressing and moving forward. We can't stay stagnant. And I think the world tries to keep us in this stagnant box, and constantly we need representation. No, I'm not staying in this box. I'm going to keep on moving. I'm going to keep on progressing. I'm going to keep on, growing into my fullest potential and my authentic self.
Yeah.
A word came to mind. Y'all know how I be meditating on my thoughts. A word came to mind, like as you was talking, and that word was choice. And
Yeah.
the word was choice because we have the ultimate choice to decide the things that we say and the things that we do, the things that we post online, if a person trolls people, because that's what a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
do, right? Especially with people in the LGBT community. You have a choice to be a hateful person. You have a choice to be negative, or you have a choice to be uplifting, understanding, or try to understand and learn what someone else's preferences or even background means. And I say that to say,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
mentioned the pronouns. Like that has been a very big discussion on social media these last couple months. The different pronouns, and I know we all talked about that, like all the nuances and
Mm-hmm.
some of the stuff we don't even all know,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But one thing that you can always do is be respectful to another person, right?
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with my best friend yesterday. I was like, if I want to be called a woman, right? And someone says, okay, I want to be called a he. If I know I want to be called a woman with respect, I'm going to respectfully call you by what you want to be called. Because me calling you something does not affect me in any type of way.
Yeah.
Messing up my money, my health, me spiritually, emotionally, or my people's, we good. Like
Okay.
your life choices and preferences,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like that stuff, that stuff don't have nothing to do with me because I'm not losing sleep at night because of what someone else chooses to do in their life. And I'm just like, bro, like what is it? Like I really am trying to probably studying too hard to try to figure out what the disconnect is. Like why can't we just meet each other where we are? And if you come into my space and you want to know more about me, my preferences, my community, and you still don't understand or you don't care, then just gracefully bow out. Like you don't have to say nothing else. You don't have to do anything else. Life,
Girl.
and leave me alone. But it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah. Facts.
It don't
And so,
seem that
so
way.
I just want to
I'm just like, what is
speak
it?
on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mean to interrupt you if you have more to
No,
say.
no, no, go, because I was getting hot. But go
Okay, yeah, let me catch this in. But at the end of the day, right, I do feel that as you were saying, like respect is important, and then it's also important to allow people grace, right, in that moment that like it's tough navigating that. It's tough to show up in a room where everybody is on base level pronouns. And to stand up for yourself and say, I want you to call me something else. For me, it takes courage. This person is brave. This person is somebody that I want to be friends with immediately,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even for us to just show up and be like, I'm gay or I'm lesbian, right? I know that I might appear to be something else, or you might be assuming that I'm something else. But to clarify that it's bravery and it's courage, and I just feel like people don't assess it as such often enough. But on top of that, while we're all navigating pronouns and gender identity and gender fluidity, the expansion of gender, right? Which I absolutely agree and advocate for, that like it is positive. Just like it ain't just black or white, there ain't just men and women, right? Okay, let's clear that up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we have to allow each other grace to figure it out, right? To alter our speech, to get used to calling you by something that I was not used to calling you. Just as if, we want grace if you starting a new job. Nobody expects you to be an expert at it day one. So those are the things that I really wish our community, as well as other people outside of the LGBTQ plus community, would assess, right? We have to give each other grace. But respect is mandatory. And I just encourage people in our community and outside of our community, if you're being disrespected, please take yourself elsewhere in any regard, right? They don't deserve you. And the level of disrespect or any disrespect is warrants you like leaving or going somewhere else or not doing that thing anymore. But as long as you feel people are trying, then I really suggest that, you give each other grace. That's my spiel.
Like literally, because I'm pretty sure we're all like hip to like what's going on in Florida right now with like all these weird ass bills being passed specifically in regards to like the LGBT community. Like the don't say you can't say gay bill and just a lot. And I've seen like a lot of Florida residents that's in the community and not in the community, they have relocated because it's just like becoming very uncomfortable to the ones that really matter. And there was actually a state of emergency for the LGBT plus community. And I was like Googling, has there ever been a state of emergency for white people? Has there ever been a state of emergency for black people? Has there ever been a state of emergency for straight people? Because like and listen, I ain't old, but like
Facts.
I've I haven't seen it, and I just think it's horrible that something like that has to happen because, and this is not to take away from any violence committed towards women, men, black community, people like that. It's not to take away from that. So let me just say that up front. However, the state of emergency was put in place because the LGBT community, they was like, these people are under attack. We have to try in some shape or form to protect them, their families, and the rights that they still have because who else is going to do it? It was horrible. And I'm just like,
It's
all this
sad.
because you just don't agree with someone's lifestyle. And granted,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of more parts that play into the ignorance of it, and I say ignorance because people just make up these fallacies and they just run with it and create these large narratives targeting one population, and it makes people hate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So breathe.
No,
This
like,
stuff
Ani,
has been
what are
like
your thoughts on
bugging
what
me,
she's saying?
like I don't know, like Ani, like you did a video a couple of weeks ago on TikTok. You remember where you stitched
Yes,
that ladies?
yes.
Do you mind talking about the stitch or
I
if
do
you feel
not
comfortable?
mind.
Okay, what's
Okay,
tea? Because I'm here.
let's
So
let's go.
she basically got on TikTok and said, "Please beware of narcissistic gay men." And I'm like, huh? And basically, she went on this, she went on this spiel about how narcissistic gay men want to be women and they're jealous, and it was a whole bunch of nonsense. And I'm like, okay,
Was this
listen,
Tasha K?
no, we
No.
could touch on her
Okay,
too, because
sorry.
I've been wanting to eat her alive for a long time.
Okay.
But she just was spewing out a lot of ignorance. And I'm like, we already have a target on our backs. We already have a slew of people against us. We don't need you to put out this negative connotation about us because it's either narcissistic women and narcissistic men. It's no gay, no straight. It's either one or the other. So I don't understand why you came on here telling us about narcissistic gay men as if you're targeting the gay community. And I'm like, when women, straight women, when women see gay men as people and human, they will understand We're not an accessory. We're not a competition. We don't want to be
Yeah.
you. We do
Yeah.
not want what you have. We just want to be us. And that's it. That's it. We don't hate you because for us to be here, we had to come from a woman. I love women. I love my mother is one of my prized possession, you know. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
love women. I don't have no desire to be a woman. But if I want to dress
Right.
like one, I can. If I want to dress like a man, I can. So I just feel
Period.
like sometimes in this world when we defy the power of what's been naturally done for so long, then people get angry because they feel like the power is being ripped from their hands and the
Mm-hmm.
authority is being ripped from their hands. And that's why you get the don't say gay laws and the emergency clause and all this stuff in Florida because people feeling like the power is being drawn from their hands because, oh, we can't have gay people running around here. They're running amok. That's why the shootings are happening and people are killing trans women and stuff like that. And don't nobody really say anything about it because they simply don't care because it defies their power.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
I want to expand on that, if that's okay.
That's fine.
mm-hmm.
Okay, because I think too, like all of that is very relevant to like our history as Black people, and so the TikTokers, right, who are speaking on these things and trying to target a specific group is like perpetuating this like racist or supremacist idea, right? So like it's not if it ain't white supremacy, you feel me? It's woman supremacy or what have you. And so you're just trying to belittle someone or put someone down to make yourself feel better. So, you won't ever see that content from my social media. You won't ever see me spending time out of my beautiful days on planet Earth putting down somebody. Why? Why? And so also I can very much point that person out. It's like, okay, sis, you don't have better to do, or like, what's wrong with you, or what you have going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
That um
Mm-hmm.
leads you to open your phone, hold this button to do these things. Because I also just think about the like what it physically takes you to do to make a TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know about the production
Right.
elements that,
Yes.
like, girl, you spent a lot of
Yes, you
time
did.
just to try to put somebody else down to make yourself feel better. And there's other
Mm-hmm.
options to make you feel good. So, like, have a glass of wine, take a walk in nature. And so I do
How's a
feel
tree?
that. Hug the tree.
Have a
But I do feel that, like Tasha K, and y'all can tell her I said it, but I just feel that people spend a lot of time trying to put other people down to make themselves feel better. And so it's nothing that we will ever perpetuate. While, you're attacking us, or this community, it's really so that you make yourself feel better about your internalized homophobia, the fact that you want to come out, but you couldn't come out. A lot of whatever happened in your life, it is elevated. And I also feel like it relates very much to trying to find some type of supremacy. You're trying to
mm-hmm.
find a
Mm-hmm.
way that you're better, or falsely, creating this idea that white is better, that straight is better, that women are better. And at that point, that's why I wanted to, call out like being a humanist, where you see the humanity in other people. So when people start seeing people as people, then the people will be better off. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my spill on
Yes.
that. Okay. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Period.
no,
Yes.
you're not.
I
It's
am
not woman.
Virgo.
It's
It was shots fired.
no supremacy. Okay. Period.
Yes, it's no
Yeah,
supremacy.
she fired some shots with that have a glass of
I
wine.
love that. I love that.
Listen.
Okay.
So once
Y'all are
again,
silly.
the brain juices. So like my mom and I, like, we randomly have these conversations, and like this particular one, like, I didn't introduce, she actually did. And if you've listened to the show, like, you've known about me and my sexual identity, and just in correlation with like my family and stuff, especially with my mom. So when we have these conversations, it lets me know the growth in her. So shout out to her for that. Um, but we were talking, and she's just like, I just don't understand like why people just can't mind their business. Like that's the whole thing. Like people just mind their business, like things would just be so much better instead of worrying about like who this person likes, what this person does. Like just mind your business. And in the same way, respect everybody else. Like as long as you don't disrespect me or being hateful, whatever, it don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? Because we probably won't even cross paths. And if we do, it is what it is. And the conversation went a lot deeper because I've raised this point to my mother years ago, but she wasn't like really in an understanding space to really dissect it. And I know someone is probably going to think something crazy after I say this, but I personally think, and I've felt this way for a long time, that people that come out with their sexual preferences, I personally think a part of it is through genetics. Like I personally have always thought that. You know what I'm saying? That's just because people that I have come in contact with, the long history of it and other aspects of it. So now when things are coming out now, everyone's like, oh, this happened back in the it was happening back in the day, but y'all wasn't like it wasn't just in your face. A lot of it first to an extent I do have an issue with, right? I have an issue with pushing the agenda of the LGBT plus community as a trend, right? And not pushing it just to be, hey, we're pushing this for like the a teaching mechanism or understanding it, but we're pushing it for a trend. That makes sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? How like, oh, this is what's talked about, so we're going to push this, which makes people, of course, dissect it and talk about it more, but just not in a good way. Like, so if you're going to push something, don't do it as don't make it trendy. Like Ani said, like gay men are not an accessory. People in general are not accessories, and it doesn't matter a person's sexual preference. They shouldn't be treated as such. You know,
Yeah.
that's my little spill.
Okay. No, I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that like in a lot of spaces, right, I see like, this corporate thing, where the corporations are doing it, but a lot of them fail to like amplify Black voices. If you go to hashtag uh, LGBTQ right now or Pride right now, it's white people. They don't look like me. And so a lot of times I think that people are doing it, but it's not coming from the right place, especially corporations. And then for me too, like it's this thing in our culture or in like media of what I call ambulance chasers, where they're just really like, you don't really care about the topic, you're just chasing the next topic so that you have news or something to report on. So if you are talking, okay, period. So if you're talking about it, my thing is that you also put some action behind it, that you also reach out to someone who you may have wronged and say, I'm seeing things differently now, or that you donate to a organization that is trying to bring about change. Something of that nature, right? You're talking about it, put some action behind it. As we say in our culture, you feel me, like put your money where your mouth is.
That's
So
right.
if you're talking about it, you're not a part of the community, take a note from Shakita, open up some space so that you can amplify our voices or put some action behind it. As they say too, like when you know better, you do better. And so sometimes
Okay.
there are people who you may have perpetuated like bad ideas upon, and then as you start to change, like sometimes it's cool to say, my bad, that was fucked up, and sorry, watch my mouth, but that was messed up, and now we I see things differently. And so Shakita, I want to say that I love that for you, that like your mom like changed her mind, and I feel like that should just like give you, or would possibly give you like feel a more feeling of support within your family. And so I love that for you, and that made me so happy to hear you say that.
Yes.
Thanks, y'all.
Yes.
Thanks. Y'all know I'm just me.
Yes.
But those conversations, like I am, but those conversations hold value and they do matter because it lets me know like someone's really listening. Cause I be talking, but like, you ever like I be
Mm-hmm.
talking. I'm like, I'm not sure if you're listening, but then when you come back and you say something, I'm like, oh, you really are
Yes.
listening. So like they matter. And before I get to like one of the last points, something I wanted to say because you brought up the whole corporation thing is there was a big debacle as we all saw with the whole Target thing and around them showcasing like pride, regalia, and just different things. What I will say is years back in my younger days, I worked for Target for a few years. Target has always been one of the largest corporations that has supported LGBT pride financially, right? And they've always had different pillars of stuff in the store. So it was just like really weird when people was like, oh, we didn't know, we would have spent our money elsewhere. I want to tell you, look inside your own businesses and your own corporations because some of y'all corporations may just be the very ones that you didn't know support. I work for one of the largest corporations. I won't say which, but my job is a top contributor to the LGBT community in general. It has been for years. I didn't know that. I was like, why y'all keep sending this stuff out? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it matters. Like there's things there in Pride. They do a lot of different stuff. They're like very inclusive. And at first I'm like, is this trendy again? Because it's in the talking about it, but it's been a thing. But since it's more out in your face now, they're a company that's like, okay, since it's out there, we've been speaking on it, but let's continue amplifying people's voices, people's preferences, and different. I mean, they do a lot, not just for LGBT, different cultures and stuff. So again, look inside your own house first before you go pointing fingers and throwing stones at everything else just because you don't like other people's choices and preferences. The same corporation you work for, the same people that's in your circle quietly, right?
Yeah.
They may be the same ones that support the things, but don't say nothing because of just how you're acting.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a whole nother issue of trying to just call people out of the closet. And I know like when we first talked last year, Ani had a very good explanation of this whole coming out of the closet thing or being forced out of the closet. And it's crazy because like that is what you continue to see people making these uncomfortable spaces just because you feel like someone is acting gay. Well, gay is not an action.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
It's not an act. Like what is acting gay? Do you mean they're gay because they're feminine? We all carry feminine and masculine energy. Some of us just carry it more than the next person. Oh, don't get me started.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't even the
Mm-hmm.
live for that conversation.
Okay.
But
Never stop being your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
like
Mm-hmm.
but you get what I'm saying. It's like at some point we have to like really the narrative a little more, not just to make it what you and you want, but we need to make it what it truly is. Because right now, what's going on ain't the truth. You
Right.
feel me?
Yeah.
And to say that, my last question is, what are some ways of support when you talk about allies that positive allies can support the LGBT community and just being able to freely express themselves and just be um, a positive pillar in their journey.
I,
Because
Go ahead.
I feel like within the community itself, like you can do that for one another. But when you go outside of the community, there are people now. Oh, I support LGBT communities. I'm Black Lives Matter. Okay, you're allies. So what you going to do? What makes you a good ally? So some people may genuinely not know. So what can a person do to be a good ally?
I would say be patient, especially with the LGBT community, QIA plus community. Be patient because who I was last year, I'm not this year. So I think some people get confused when they see the little gay boy or the little gay girl. They profess that they're gay, And then the next year you see them in heels, and then the next year you see them dressed like a boy, and then the next year you see them a whole totally different person, and now you scratching your head. I just say be patient. Be patient, always be loving, always be kind, always do the research, and be respectful. That's the greatest thing you can give me is respect. That's the greatest thing. I don't care if you don't like what I do, if you don't agree with it. The greatest thing you can give me is respect, because if you respect me, I respect you. And that's as simple as that. So I would say be patient and just respect the growing process and the evolving process a person go through.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
fact. I mean, the only thing I could add to that is like I would say to like educate yourself. Um, Sometimes we don't realize that like our way of helping could be harmful. And like sometimes we don't understand it. Like you don't may not understand it. Like your resistance to change or your resistance to like thinking outside of the box that like society has set you in leads to you like projecting your fears or ideas onto other people. And I just would say to like to be a good ally, it's really to just be a good friend. Like it doesn't take a lot. I do think people think like it's this crazy, it's hard to support someone who's going through that because you don't know the right pronouns or you don't know the things. So that's why I say research. But I also say like if you know how to be a good friend, then chances are you're halfway there to being a good ally. Um, the thing that I think people get like stuck on when they're trying to be a good ally is that you don't always know. You don't always have the answers. And sometimes you just need to listen. And so a lot of people will try to be like, oh, well, I know how to get with that, or why you can't just do this, or, your intentions may be good, but it may be harmful because the situation is different for them. And so I, I shared a reel or TikTok or something a few weeks ago where, she was talking about this like fallacy. It's a logical fallacy that like the same way that you got there would be the same way that I can get there. And it's not because we're starting from different places. So creating equity in relationships is noticing that this person is starting from a different place and how can I help them or lift them to be able to see this same place. So sometimes some people may need a leg up or a little extra grace, or they might need you to, call them more than once, where you call all your other homies one time. Like, so just trying to be as equitable, respectful as Ani was saying, but also continuing to educate yourself on how you can be a good ally really shows that that is your intent, right? If your
Mm-hmm.
intent is to be a good ally, like trying to figure that out is really what matters.
I agree. And I don't mean to come off hard if this comes off hard. In my opinion, in order to be a good ally, you have to be a good person. Because
Oh,
let's be real, everyone out here is not good people.
mic
Like
drop.
maybe you feel like, maybe you feel like you good in your own ways and your actions reflect otherwise. Because how you treat other people is a real reflection of yourself. And we know that we teach people unconsciously how to treat us. So what you give out, you're going to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a person that said I'm going to be an ally for the LGBT plus community, I'm going to stand in solidarity and et cetera, et cetera. I have to know that I have to govern and carry myself accordingly, right? When it comes to the community, be sensitive to the needs or the speech or engaging in certain things online. And that's not saying, hey, like you can't do this and do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to, me personally, I just don't want to engage in messiness, but when I call you out, doesn't fuck shit, like
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, especially if if it's going to affect me or anyone that's associated with me. But that's the point. Like overall, like in order to be a good ally for me, you just have to be a good person being a good person, you have to be an active listener. I don't mean listen to respond with your own beliefs and push all of your insecurities and projections onto another person, but actively listen to learn, because this is a topic. It's so much. Like, let's be real. Like, it's a lot to
Yeah.
really take in and fully understand. And to do that, you have to actively listen and be like, okay, I'm listening now. I know how to apply certain things, and I know how to be supportive. Because I mean, hey, for a person that's straight, they may say, "Well, hey, I need more support," whatever that may look like. You know what I'm saying? You just want to just be a better version of yourself and spread that awareness to other people. Because, like I said, everyone may not be open to it, and that
Yeah.
is okay. Well, it gets to another level when you start pushing out just a whole bunch of negative stuff, because it's going to be met with something, and it's not going to always be good.
Yeah.
So
And I think too,
that's
like,
just my opinion.
we talked about choice and we talked about like preference. And the biggest thing I think is change, right? Is people being so resistant to change. The way that you've been doing things is, or the way that you've been thinking, right? It needs to change for you to be open, and to be accepting and to be loving, and all those things. And it's just like, I think the biggest resistance comes from this Christian base where, the greatest of these is love. And so to be able to love someone, requires that you are open, right? The doors of the church are open, right? But they're closed to me if I'm
Amen.
gay. So I really don't, I don't, for me, as a lesbian, and I'll speak for myself clearly, I don't tolerate tolerance. If you are tolerating me, or you feel like, oh, I can tolerate you, then that's not where I need to be. I need to be where I feel like I belong. I need to be where I feel like I am loved. I need to be where I'm accepted, where I'm affirmed. I'm not going to be where I'm tolerated. And so that's just
Absolutely.
my perspective on things. If you're just tolerating the gay girl in the room, then I'm going to get on your nerves, because I'm going to be my most authentic self, especially in places where I'm invited. But with, that being said, I think a lot of the tolerant perspective or rhetoric, is just people who are resistant to change from what they were taught, because gay people have always been here. They've always been a part of our history. They've always been a part of this, our struggle as Black people. And so if you choose to try to erase that, then you're denying us, as our existence, our right to be here and to be included. And so I can't rock with that. I don't vibe with that, right? But I understand that some people have trouble with changing. And so I can be sensitive to it, but I can also choose not to put myself in that environment.
Right.
Absolutely. If there was one narrative that's being pushed, like right now, in regards to the whole LGBT community, what if there was one narrative right now that's being pushed that you guys would like to like change? What would it be and why?
It would have to be that we are trying to change all of the children to become gay.
Girl.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
I
So
am so sick
oh,
of
I
that
didn't want to touch
narrative.
it, but I'm so glad you said
I'm
it.
so sick of that narrative. It's just like, oh my God, can we give it a rest?
Okay.
Can we give it a rest? It's like they are trying to push this narrative that as soon as the baby is pushed out, we're right there saying, be gay, be gay, be gay, be gay.
Yeah.
No, we do not want your children to be nothing outside of who they are. And that's whether they're gay, straight, if they don't prefer nothing, like I just really hate that narrative. And I've seen a lot of videos on TikTok of people going in Target and destroying the little kids' clothes in Target and tearing them down off the racks. And I'm like, you know, there's millions of other Targets that have this same setup. that we can go to and buy it. You destroying this one Target in this little city. Like, it's just nonsense. It's nonsense. I just
It's
really want
nonsense.
to change that narrative that we are out here trying to give a child a pill and turn them gay.
Her. So I
Amen.
second that, Ani. And for me is this like stuff around the trans community in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, leave trans people alone. If they want to do their thing, let them. And I, for one, from a humanist perspective, can just imagine what you are going through, feeling like you are born into the wrong body. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that has to be mentally crazy, you know. So my heart goes out to them. But people are trying to just villainize them and act like the community in general has this like ulterior motive. Anya and I both grew up in the church. And so we were always around straight people and married people, and our environment bred, you know, us to grow up to be straight people
Mm-hmm.
who marry people from the opposite sex. Everything was that. My mom definitely didn't, you know, put me in the rainbow pool. You feel me? And so that rhetoric that someone can change, or like, you know, your environment can change, what you're being exposed to can change you. It's not true. Point blank, it's a big lie. Because if that were true for members of the LGBT community, most of us would not be, especially Black people. Like, a lot of us grow up in church,
Mm-hmm.
so we probably
Right.
wouldn't be gay. Okay, so let me shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
But also with trans people, it's just like people are saying that either they want to be women, or they're trying to be women, or they don't like women, or this or that, right? They're just people who are trying to live their best life. And if that aggravates you, then you need to look at yours and what is stopping you
Mm-hmm.
from living your best life.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me to change within my own person, within my own self, a thing has nothing to do with other people.
Right.
And so I just want them to be safe. I want people to protect them. And I want people who are listening or who watch this, when you are in spaces where people are using slurs or talking bad about them, right, to defend them and in whatever way that you can that keeps you safe and secure,
Mm-hmm.
right? But yeah, they're just people who are trying to live their best lives just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And when you call yourself a good person, then be good to other people. Period. And what you're doing,
Period.
what you're changing about yourself within your personhood, whether that's changing your mind or changing your body parts, is your business.
Mm-hmm.
And so it shouldn't be legislated or, you know, talked about, and it damn sure shouldn't be a reason that you are subjected to violence of any kind.
Right.
I changed my mind. I don't want
Absolutely.
to go to the club, so you're going to beat me up. Like, I changed my
Mm-hmm.
mind. I don't want to be, you know, in this body anymore. So now you get to come at me and do all this weird shit. Like, no, it's not okay. And it's unnecessary. They're just
Mm-hmm.
people who are trying to be people, and let my people live.
Let my
Period.
people live,
Yes.
damn it.
Period. Yes. And you know, like, of course, like, I'm not in the trans community, but I think a lot of times there may be like a wall up or like some defensiveness in regards to trying to defend who they are. So a person may respond a certain way because they're used to being met with so much aggression, so much hate and anger, and it may be taken out of context sometimes, you know. And
Yeah.
I gauge that just watching and interacting with different people on social media, specifically TikTok, you know what I'm saying, and just having dialogue with people. Every Just be kind overall. Just like your parents used to tell you, if you don't have nothing nice to
Don't
say,
say
don't say nothing at all.
anything
Period.
at
Don't say
all.
nothing at all. Clearly some of y'all feed off of that and have to say something, whether you post it, you're going in your comments, you're going on your own platforms, and you making subliminal comments as if we don't see them. Trust me, 9 out of 10, the people you directing that energy to, they see it, they hear it, they know you're there. They just choose to let it roll off their shoulders, something that you should choose to do in regards to somebody's preference if you're not going to be respectful. And that's that.
For me, if you somehow notice that you're blocked, it's probably because I saw you say something that was harmful to my community.
That was harmful
Yeah.
to my community. I'm going to let you know. I don't let anything, hear me when I say to everyone who's watching, I don't let anything roll off my back. If you come for me and my community, I'm coming for you 10 times harder because, and I don't come for you in hate. I come for you in love and wish that you hear what I say or see what I wrote and you think, because I'm going to make you think. I'm going to give you an analogy. I'm going to make it plain for you. I'm going to read you real good, but I'm going to make it plain for you so that
Yes,
you
I
can,
do.
you're going to have to think. And it results in me getting blocked a lot of times, but I'm fine with that. But at least you read my message. You know?
I love this for you.
Listen, because when I hopped up on TikTok and seen your stitch, I was like, and the first thing you said is, I usually don't make
I
content like
don't.
this. I was just like,
And
but that particular content creator is
she
messy. Like
messaged me. She
she
messaged me
bad.
a long message and was going in. I read like the first two sentences and I respond back and I said, until you get some knowledge on what punctuation and grammar to use, I'm not reading this. I'm just not going to read this. Okay.
Okay,
But
period.
you know how like this thing of karma works. The same week she did that, they were dragging her on the app for another comment she made about someone. I mean, they dragged her so bad,
Yeah,
and I'm just like, you. At the end of the day, we're all entitled to the First Amendment. This is what everybody
Right.
likes to run with, their whole narrative of freedom of speech. I agree. We all have the right to say what we want to say. However, that does not mean everything needs to be said.
period.
And if you're leading from a space of negativity, unfortunately, you may just get it back. Now, I'm not saying go out there and just be, you have to be nice to everyone. But like if you're going to engage in some type of conversation with somebody, why start that off on a negative
Mm-hmm.
slate? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Look,
If you're
I
gonna post
ain't a saint.
it on TikTok, you
Right.
might,
Any
you
app.
just have to be prepared for the backlash. And I just want to say for our community too, like there are more allies than naysayers. There are more good people
Mm-hmm.
than bad people.
Mm-hmm.
There is more support and love for us. You know, you just have to seek it. And I'm learning that for a long time. Like I felt alone. I felt like there wasn't no help
Mm-hmm.
for a Black girl from an underprivileged community who was gay and smart
Mm-hmm.
and lit and all those things, right? And now here I am in my authentic self, year 2, or in Chronicles of a Virgo podcast space, you know, sharing
Yeah.
about my authentic self. So I just want to thank
Yes.
you, Shakita, for doing what you do. You are always like advocating and spreading positive messages. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
Ani, we do this as well. But if you need to check somebody, check somebody. For me, I'm not going to talk to you, girl. So you have a good day. Have a nice life, and
Yes.
you will never get the goodness of Mo.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes
Yes.
from just knowing that I'm a good person with a good heart, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not entitled to it, and you don't deserve it. So with that being
Mm-hmm.
said, you know, I just want people to realize that when you're speaking this BS
Mm-hmm.
into the internet space, right? Expect them to come for you. You know, when you say something bad about Beyonce on the internet, the beehive comes for you. Okay. So the LGBT
Beyonce,
community,
Nicki, Cardi B, listen, they come
okay.
They
for you
come
hard.
hard,
So
hard.
we got enough support and we have enough love in the world, honey, that the negativity will not exist for long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want everybody to be optimistic and be hopeful who is a part of our community. That's my perspective, right? I see that we are going through this now just like they did in the civil rights movement, but ultimately we came out on top. Ultimately, we've overcome and we continue to work towards bettering the Black community. And we'll do the same thing in the LGBTQ plus community. And if we continue to work together in solidarity, we will solve these problems,
Yes, we
and we will
will.
all continue to thrive.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we're planting them seeds. So, wrapping up, this has been a magnificent conversation. Again, I thank you both for sharing this space with me, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without either one of y'all. So I definitely wholeheartedly appreciate it. Can you please tell people where they can find like your other social media accounts, podcasts, whatever else, websites, whatever else you want to put out there you got going on? Please let people know.
Um,
Well, you can find me. I can never remember my Instagram. I think it's underscore it's all Awny with 3 Y's. And
Mm-hmm.
my Facebook is Awny K hyphen Holmes. That's really all. Oh, and my TikTok is underscore all in with Awny. You can find my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can just Google it and I'll come up. And
Google
yes,
me.
Google it. It'll come out. It'll come out. We're about to start season 4, and we're becoming visual. Woo, 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 woo. And I have some
Hey.
big things in the work. I can't wait to show you guys and have you guys a part of it.
Yes. And I'm going to tag all of y'all, tag y'all on
Yeah.
Instagram as well.
okay, so yeah, solidarityandco.com. And then on social medias, it's typically at Solidarity and Co. You can see it on the screen. So that's TikTok, that's Instagram. Facebook is Solidarity and Co. Shop. But mostly, if you go to solidarityandco.com, it'll bring you to all these places where you can check out my podcast, Speaking of Solidarity. And I'm also on YouTube at Solidarity and Co, where you can see the visual of some of those episodes, especially my episode with Shakita. So, yeah.
Yay.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to actually at some point put this live up on YouTube. So it'll be on YouTube and it'll be on here on Instagram for people to come back in to check it out. So if you come back in, please go follow these lovely humans on their social media, see what they got going on. Go get you a daily dose of motivation, some encouragement, but most importantly, some education. Like I can definitely say you will be educated on either one of their platforms in a very respectful way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're always open if you guys want to reach out with any questions, comments, concerns. Just govern yourself accordingly, like I always say. Um, but yeah, again, thank everyone that tuned in with us today. Thank you
Yeah.
all for coming. And one recommendation, I think I sent it to Mo on Friday. I would highly recommend, if y'all care to, everyone look up Janelle Monáe's recent interview she did on the Breakfast Club. She
Mm-hmm.
did it on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. And because, she is, gosh, I don't want to get her sexual
A part of
preference
the
wrong.
community.
Mm-hmm.
She is a part of the community, yes. No, she's not that. Okay. But yeah, anyway, she touched on a lot of what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was very good. So if y'all get a chance, definitely go check out that interview she did on the Breakfast Club. And she also talked about like in becoming herself and like what's helped her and a lot of different things that she do. It was very inspiring. So if y'all listening out there, y'all want more education on how you can be a positive ally and educate yourself, definitely go check out that interview. But most importantly, follow these beautiful people today. And y'all have any final closing words?
Just continue being you and love you to the fullest. Like, don't slack yourself in the love that you have for yourself. We give so much love to others, but give that same energy to yourself always, at all times.
Yeah. For me, my
Yeah.
spiel is you are your best thing. And so when you take care of yourself, when you follow your heart, follow your passions, the world will align, the universe will respond,
Mm-hmm.
and the people will come. And so you just have to be your authentic self, and by being your authentic self, you will align yourself with all the things that you want, and all the things that you don't even know that you need. So just like these beautiful people here, so I just really advocate for that. And I wish y'all the best, but continue to take care of yourselves and each other. And
Yes.
we'll be good.
Yes. Thank you for that, y'all. And again, thank y'all for joining me with this conversation. It was very filling and educating.
Yes.
Okay. So I hope someone grabs something out there, or someone comes across it, that may be dealing with trying to, step out into your true authentic self and you're in the community. I hope this conversation was a little enlightening for you, because I believe change is possible. And I also believe that we can thrive in any spaces that we are in. If someone closes one door in your face, that's okay. I guarantee you a million more people will open their doors for you. If someone won't let you sit at their table, don't worry about it. Create your own table, bring your own chairs, and seat your own people. You're going to feast either way. Just have
Period.
the belief system, and just each day get up and just try to do something a little bit more better to better yourself, and you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. All right, so I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your
Yes.
Sunday and a fabulous week, and we are out, y'all.
Okay. You too. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.